The Border Pumpy. Lekker. Heritage Day, folks. Snotkop en Ulrike Snell. Border Pumpy. I hope you enjoyed that, ladies and gentlemen. Risking a copyright claim. Welcome back to Chris White Africa here on a lovely Heritage Day 2020 for South Africa. How is it, South Africa? Not going to say hi to the world today. Today is your day. Sawubona, South Africa. Goeiedag. How are things, ladies and gentlemen, on this Heritage Day 2020 in South Africa? Take a look around the screen. What do you see up above me? You see, look at that right there. That's the wrong side. There it is. Always getting it wrong. There's South Africa's flag. And look at this. We got a braai going, ladies and gentlemen, right there to the side. I got a braai cooking. Check it out. Got the boerewors on there. Got some shaaskili on there. Got some steaks going. Finest Dag 2020. That's right, folks. As we say in Zulu, it's right on the screen there. Usuku lamagugu. Usuku lamasiko. This is Heritage Day. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chris White Africa. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you didn't mind that Rika Snell and special of Boer Pompi with a featuring of Snotkop on there. I know that Hendo doesn't like Snotkop, but sorry about that. Couldn't help it. Good music to get you in the mood for a braai day. Wait a second. I thought it was Heritage Day. Well, it is. It's Heritage Day, but it was originally to celebrate King Shaka of the Zulu, who forged the Zulu nation. But about 15 years ago, there was a move to make it National Braai Day. And it worked out, not initially, but by 2007, it became known as National Braai Day. That's right, folks. On this day, South Africans are encouraged to celebrate their culture and the diversity of their beliefs and the traditions in a wider context of a nation that belongs to all South Africans, whether you're Khoi or San, Afrikaner, Boer, English speaker, Portuguese, Zulu, Xhosa, Venda, Siswati. Take your pick. Ndebele. This is your day to celebrate your heritage, your culture, your traditions, your music, and God bless it, to celebrate your language as well, folks, to celebrate your language as well. Welcome, South Africans, wherever you may find yourself, if you're in South Africa or if you've run off for employment or you've run off to seek shelter in other parts of the world, whether it's Australia, the United Kingdom, New Zealand, or perhaps even the United States. Welcome. Let me say hi to everybody who's in the chat so far as the crowd builds here. Andrew with a K is here. Good evening to you. Erica's here. Erica. Wow, Erica, she found some money in her washing machine and she put it into the super chat. As promised, bounty from Her Majesty the Speed Queen. Have an awesome Heritage Day, everyone. Thank you so much for that, Erica. It's very kind of you. Anne-Marie Forrester, hope everyone's having a great braai day. Olaf is here, says hello to everybody. Stella Mons is here once again. And let's see who else we've got. Marius Krukomp is here, says hello to everybody, using the custom emojis that members can use. And notice Marius has that lovely Statue of Liberty. Lady Liberty's there, denoting that he's been one of the longest members of Chris White Africa. Thank you so much for that, Marius. Hendo, good to see you, Hendo. Sorry about the Snout Cup, couldn't resist myself. Catherine Piper's here once again. Hello to Catherine. Erica, of course, as always. Sharon Westfall, welcome to you. And make sure I don't miss anybody here because I do that. The Wizard's here. Good to see you. Koti Lombard. Good to see you once again. And Greg Smuts. Hey, Greg. Jim G. Hi, Jim G. Keith Alderson says we're celebrating on Heritage Day. I thought such praise of historic achievements was a bit naughty in South Africa. Indeed it is, Keith. But piss on it. To heck with it. We're going to do it anyway. Ice, welcome to you. Good to see you there. Swearim DJ from the Netherlands all the way. Not hello to you, Chris. And Bosch Zebra is back. Das lekker Breiwvlees. Yes, das lekker Breiwvlees. I agree. All right. So, sing samen met mij. The lekker pomp. No, we're not going to do it. The Border Pumpy. Fantastic stuff. Fantastic red wine, Sword of the Roses, good music, feeding the birds, a stunning day. Good to hear. Erica wants potato salad. I don't eat that stuff. People love it, but it's not my thing. Jim G says, celebrating diversity. Yeah, I know. Let's get into the irony of it about the ANC and diversity later, but let's just celebrate South Africa's diversity for the moment, folks. Let's just enjoy it and ignore for just a moment, put aside the African National Congress, the angry, naughty children. Basson de Villiers is seeking shelter in Ireland. Have you got bad weather? What's going on? You're enjoying Heritage Day there in Ireland as well. Good to see you, Basson. Welcome to the channel. What's this? Bryopsis. That's new to me. Good to see you there, Bryopsis. Welcome. Pete Gallen, welcome back. Have to go back to England next month, but we'll be in touch via Ndaba. Awesome. Not awesome you're going back, but awesome you stay in touch. TJ van Heerden, Danke, it's my heritage to Bry. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Good evening to Shaq Dweller. Bryos Opus says hello. How is it? Quite well, thank you. My teaching's going very well. I finished all my lecture time. All I have is a wrap up with an exercise this afternoon, and boom, done and dusted. I'll be done with that event and look to my bank account to see if a few rand or shekels come my way from that event. Looking forward to seeing my bank account climb so I can pay all the bills. Let's see. So Tian says, can somebody please translate boerenpompi? I can translate the word. I know there's two meanings to it. Thank you, Tian. Yes, it means farmer's pump, but yes, I get the other meaning. Thank you, Tian. But I don't get my eye in the gutter, Tian. But yeah, somebody feel free to tell us what it means, okay? Boom, what did you teach? I've been teaching an introductory course on West Africa. The structure of the course, I set it up so that the first day I talked about introduction to the region, the entire region of West Africa, the situation there, security, economic, culture, language, politics, all those things. And then went into country briefs. Of the 16 countries in the region, briefed 7 countries. Started with Liberia, did Liberia, Senegal, Ghana, Niger, Mali. What else did I do? Mali. That's 5. Did 2 more. Anyway, did 7 countries, Mauritania and one other. So did 7 countries in the region and covered them. Didn't do all of them. And each of them gave a flavor, had a francophone look, an anglophone look, the regional hegemon, Nigeria, regional success, Ghana, recent success, had some trouble in the past. I looked at the historical relationship with the United States and Liberia, its context and how Liberia is very different than the rest. Talked about the Mono River region. So that was the countries. Then went into regional organizations and focused yesterday on ECOWAS, the Economic Community of West African States, as well as the Mono River region and the G5 Sahel organization. Talked about that as well yesterday. And then in addition to that, also talked about some more events took place. Today, the focus is on U.S. Africa Command and its role in West Africa, what's going on, what Africa Command does and does not do in West Africa. So that was important. And then this afternoon, the students have an exercise they're preparing for now, and we'll come back and discuss the exercise. And it looks like we've busted through the YouTube effort to silence with shadow banning my channel, and we've pushed up to 8139 now, folks. We're back on track. Let's hope that continues, and we'll see what happens. Very frustrating. I know a number of people who were paying members of Chris White Africa did not get renewed. Membership dropped from 123 to 112, despite 2 renewals yesterday and 1 person who rejoined. YouTube, you're playing games. Why do you cut your own nose off to spite your face? But folks, we're not going to get too excited about them today. We are here to talk about Heritage Day in South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, there are 11 official languages in South Africa in an effort to make South African Sign Language an official language. But listen, I'm not going to cover all of those languages. There isn't enough time in a single hour to do that. I am going to talk briefly about 3 languages that are near and dear to me, that I have a great deal of respect for, the cultural groups, the people who speak the languages, and where they speak it at, and just a little bit about them, show some photographs of those who come from those cultural groups. And my focus today, ladies and gentlemen, will be on the Tswana-speaking community of South Africa, the Basotho-speaking, the Sotho-speaking, the Southern Sotho-speaking peoples of South Africa, and the Afrikaans-speaking population of South Africa, which is comprised of Boers, Afrikaners, and South African colors, Cape Malays, the Griquas, and many others. So that's my focus today on the channel, folks, to celebrate Heritage Day. We'll look it out. We got it right there, right on the screen, ladies and gentlemen. Check it out. Shaskali, got the shish kebab, you got boerewors on there. You've got it all. Got your braai going in South Africa? If you're in Perth, if you got your braai cooking, you should be up enjoying your braai. If you're in North Carolina, enjoy your braai. Winnie, Van der Merwe, if you're in Texas, it's braai time, ladies and gentlemen. It is Heritage Day in South Africa 2020. Venstag, I spelled that, or I mispronounced that, and then there's the South African flag up there in the top. Ladies and gentlemen, this day started originally as a celebration by the Zulu people of their heritage for this fellow. You've heard of this fellow, right? You've seen movies. There he is. Look over there to the side. That's the guy right there. See him right there. That's the guy right there. King Shaka Zulu, the king of the Zulu, who forged the Zulu nation. Not a nice guy. Not a guy you want to hang out with. Not a guy you want to cross. But he's the guy that forged the Zulu nation right there. Shaka Zulu. That's him. That's a sketch of him from the 1820s, I believe. Anyway, that's the dude that we have to thank for Heritage Day. That's where it all started. The Zulu. That's hence the reason why we've got Afrikaans on the screen down there. And just below it, we've got Zulu to recognize it was a Zulu holiday originally, the 24th of September. That's the day it's presumed that Shaka died. At least that's what they tell us in the history books. Folks, let me get to the chat and catch up with that. We've got lots to cover here. I'm making Hendo hungry with the braai. Let's see. Farm pump, best meaning. Yes, Erica, that is the best meaning. That's the polite one. Farmer's pump. Absolutely. But you can just guess what that means from a mind in the gutter perception. I think Tian thinks that Chris was naive and didn't know that it had a different meaning. No, Tian, I'm well aware of that other meaning. Anyway, got a good shot of my dad like a Fort Seca on Brazy. How do I show you? Okay. You can't put pictures in here. All you can put is in links. If you have to send me an email, Bryopus. If you send me an email, go to the channel, open up another tab, go to my channel, look across the top where it has videos and playlist. Look for the About. Under the About, click on that. Go below the description. You'll see show email for business purposes. Click on that. Put a little check in the box to show that you're not a bot trying to harvest addresses. My address will be revealed, and you can mail me your photo, and then I'll put it up here. But thank you so much for that. Pete says, oh, Pete's out of here. Already losing an audience, man. Jeez, this show sucks. Just kidding. 32 degrees in Durban. Well, summertime is there, Catherine. Summertime is arriving in the Southern Hemisphere as we descend into fall and autumn here in the Northern Hemisphere. Jim G says, what do you make of Kissinger Clinton's African Union? I don't know what you mean, Kissinger Clinton's African Union. You're going to have to explain that. 1RB, hey, Chris, I see your home state is turning into a swing state. What's your feeling? It's been a swing state since 2016. Trump took it for the first time since 1988 when George Bush Sr. won Pennsylvania. A Republican candidate won the state of Pennsylvania with Donald Trump by about 75,000 votes, which coincidentally is pretty much the difference, almost the difference in this county alone, which swung the state. This county, York County. It is still a swing state, all kinds of nonsense going on, but I expect Donald Trump to win this state. So we will see. So was that as far north as Morocco and as far south as Nigeria? It was as far north as Mauritania and across the Sahel, Keith. Below that, those 16 countries. Morocco will be considered North Africa, so it was not part of the course. And Cameroon and Chad were not considered part of it, but I would normally consider both of those part of West Africa. But for this, they weren't considered. It's based on the agency that did the hiring. That's the region they look at, and so that's what they wanted. Count von Totenkopf says, hail, supreme, benevolent, dear leader. Well, thank you so much for that. Hendo's put up the AF Broncos stream in a couple days. Guys, that'll be awesome. Please check it out. Jim G says 11 languages equal 11 countries. I don't know about that. I don't buy that story entirely. The Bulk and the Rose shop in St. Albans for my voice. Yes. Let's see. Malcolm. Hey, good to see you there, Malcolm. Also, along with Shack Dweller, the Statue of Liberty, and Erica, longtime supporters of the channel. Thank you guys so much for that. Bye, Donkey. Really appreciate it. Chris, have you had a Paka South African bra? Yeah, of course I've had. Yes, absolutely. Let me see. Marius is here. Good to see you. And so repeat that in English, please, Shaq. What did Shaq say? Malcolm says, hope all had enough toast, broodies, and voice, the most important. Yeah, not a big fan of boerewors, not my thing. I'm not a huge fan of it. Sacrilege, but not a big thing for me. But a braai, lekker braai is always nice, folks. Nice to have that. Well, folks, welcome here on Heritage Day. Let me read exactly the language here so I don't get it wrong. Here you go. So September 24th, previously known in South Africa as Shaka Day, a day commemorating the Zulu king Shaka. He was known for uniting the Zulu clan together and forming the Zulu nation. I think I already told you that. Every year, South Africans would gather at his grave to honor him. In 1995, a request for the day to be confirmed as an official holiday was rejected. After receiving some pushback from the Inkatha Freedom Party, the majority Zulu party, it was decided that the day was needed and would be known as Heritage Day for all ethnicities in South Africa. Not simply so. Cultural appropriation, ladies and gentlemen, cultural appropriation. South Africa has stolen the Zulus' day. Since then, South Africans have celebrated Heritage Day by remembering the cultural heritage of the many different cultures that make up their nation. Events are held across the country with some people choosing to dress up in traditional attire. Yep, that is true. There was a media campaign in 2005 that sought to have the day recognized as National Braai Day to acknowledge the backyard barbecue tradition. But the holiday is still officially recognized as Heritage Day. President Cyril Ramaphosa spoke earlier today, and I'm going to play a short clip of that. And just says, listen, I haven't eaten either, so it's not helping me either talking about food. But in 2007, Jan Scannell, known as Jan Braai, started a media campaign proposing the holiday be renamed as National Braai Day. On the 5th of September 2007, Archbishop Desmond Tutu celebrated his appointment as a patron for South Africa's Braai Day. So it is unofficially Braai Day, but it is officially Heritage Day, a holiday appropriated from the Zulu who were recognized in the passing of their long-past king, Shaka, to celebrate his heritage. So it is now on Heritage Day for everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Everybody. Jim G says, everybody loves a holiday. Do you support multiculturalism? Well, that's an open-ended question, Jim G. And the answer is jein, as we say in German, yes and no. I don't support the politically connected woke nonsense of multiculturalism because that is a religion that says that multiculturalism is good. There is no bad to multiculturalism, and we must have it, or you're a bigot and racist. I don't support that. That's horse manure. You have countries and locations that are largely homogenous, and they do quite fine. You have countries that are homogenous, they do poorly. You have mostly countries that are multicultural, they're absolute disasters. Absolute disasters. You have some exceptions. Switzerland is one. There are others. Italy is another. There are countries in Africa that are multicultural, that are successful. But by and large, this religion of pushing multiculturalism on people is just toxic, and it's not good. People should be allowed to celebrate their heritage, their culture, unmolested by government, allowed to enjoy their heritage, their language, their religion, their faith, their cultural traditions, whether it's braaiing or it is passions of rights, those sorts of things. You should be allowed to do that without being molested by the state. That I believe in. But the concept that multiculturalism makes us stronger is a fictional lie. It's an absolute lie. An absolute lie. And that I have no interest in, and I don't believe in it. That's woke culture. It's bankrupt. It's full of inept people with degrees, but uneducated people who make conclusions that make no sense whatsoever. Yep, that's right. It's like the word diversity. Well, we're all stronger through diversity. No, we're not. Is Yugoslavia a country? No, it's not. Diversity caused major problems there because people abuse diversity for political purposes to get political power. So I'm not a fan of that nonsense. It's not something I buy into in the least bit. So there you go, folks. There you go. So that's going to fly in the face of conventional wisdom. That's going to get some people to go, oh, you're this and you're that. So what? Call me that. That's just your bankrupt, uninformed bigotry thrown at me. Someone that says that. All right. Jim G says, freedom association, you have got it. Yep, exactly. That's what I'm saying, freedom association. If I want to go hang out with the Basotho people and learn their culture and they welcome me, that's cool. If I don't like the Basotho people and I try to oppress them or suppress their language or change the names of their villages, well, that's bigotry and potentially racism on my part. Of course, I would never do that. We would only see people like, I don't know, the African National Congress do that to other cultural groups. Suppressing their language, suppressing their heritage, taking towns that never existed in history, that were founded by a cultural group like the Trek Boers. They founded the settlement like Pretoria, and then having the African National Congress come along and magically turn the name of Pretoria into Tswana, into a mythical, undocumented Tswana chief from the 19th century. Why? Now, I understand if you have a village that's known as, begins with K, and it's an Arabic word, which is a foul word meant to denigrate a group of people. So the K word, there was a town called K-Dorp in South Africa. That is a town whose name is screaming for renaming. But there's no reason to rename a place like Pretoria Tswana. That's unnecessary. If you want to do heritage to the mythical Tswana, then create a theme park or found a new town or found a suburb. But don't steal, cultural appropriate, and try to wipe out the history of a segment of South Africa's population. That is not cool. Not cool. It's cultural genocide is what it is. Ooh, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. I have been reticent to use the word genocide when I've talked about farm murders, but I will tell you what. This is cultural genocide. The removal of Afrikaans from the iconic Stellenbosch University as the median of instruction. The renaming of towns named after the cultural heritage of white South Africans and colored South Africans who contributed to the history of South Africa. That is cultural genocide. That's an effort to wipe out the culture and diminish and remove it. Seeing things like President Cyril Ramaphosa go on national television and tell the country that it's the nature of white people to be racists, and that's why we have gender-based violence. That's an effort at cultural genocide. Absolutely. All right, so let me catch back up on the chat here. Nice. Can be purchased. Oh, you got a butchery there in Blumhof. Okay. Endo's getting food now. Andre Jacob says, thank you for not believing multicultural nonsense. I don't, Andre. But there is strength in learning and understanding other cultures. You live in China, Andre. There's all kinds of cultures in China. And being aware of them certainly can make you better informed and a more tolerant and reasonable person in many cases. Not always. Some people go the other direction. But it's a good thing. But I don't believe in the multicultural lie. It's a lie. Of course, they'll say that I'm a bigot. I'm not. As I'm about to tell you here, I'm going to talk about languages, 3 of them African languages that are spoken in South Africa and are languages of cultural groups in South Africa, Afrikaans, Sotho, and Tswana. And we're going to talk about those. And I wouldn't talk about those and I wouldn't care about those languages if I didn't care about all South Africans. But I don't have time to do all 11 today, so we're going to talk about 3 of them. So let's see what else we got here. Each culture is a country. Jimsy, I don't know about that because I can find Amish culture right here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, just down the road, and I can also go to Kansas and find that culture completely separated by 1,500 miles. Is that 2 countries? No, they are Americans. They are part of America. They have a unique culture. The old Spanish families of Santa Fe and New Mexico and San Antonio, who still speak Spanish, they practice their cotillion, they're Roman Catholics. Are they a different country? No, they're Americans first and foremost. They all speak English, they all contribute to this country, they're patriotic to this country, but they retain cultural distinctiveness, which doesn't make it a separate, well, I suppose nation, you can say nation, but it's not a nation state. So your use of the word country, Jim G, is akin to a nation state, and that's where I disagree. You can say a nation. It is a nation. A nation doesn't have to have land. It can be a group of people. So there you go. TJ saying, enjoy your day. Have a bribe. Remember, food bring us together. It does. Food can bring, and booze. Booze brings people together too. What's the original meaning of the Arabic word? Apparently, this is where the derogatory word emanated from. It is. It's Arabic. It comes from that, and it was a derogatory term meant to speak of the uneducated, the ill, that sort of thing. There's a couple different meanings associated with it. Yes, it does come from Arabic. It's not Afrikaans. The ANC learned from the Nazis how to destroy a culture, and from the German Democratic Republic, the Soviet Union, from the Chinese. Remember, the Chinese destroyed Chinese culture with the Great Cultural Revolution, which upturned centuries and millennia of Chinese history. Andre says, yes, I've studied many cultures and Asians. Some things we can learn from them. Absolutely true. Well, you can learn good things and you can learn bad things. Jim G, it's kufar. It means non-believer. Yeah. Well, that is the actual literal translation of it, but it's been used in a disparaging fashion. Yeah, non-believer. Exactly right. It's pretty much unbeliever in this context. It's still used in the Arabic language. Yes, and it's not. It's in that context. It's not considered profane. But yeah, there you go. All right, cool beans. John Jarvis is here. Hey, John, good to see you. All right, folks. Well, on Heritage Day, this day in 2020, we've already played Enrique Snell with a featuring of Snotkop Boer Pompie. So now it's time for another song just to get you in the mood, ladies and gentlemen. I hope that you enjoy this one. This one's kind of a favorite of mine. I really enjoy the dancers. Whoops, hang on. Oh, some of you may know the tune, and I let the cat out of the bag. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This one is Bobby van Jaarsveld and Dirk van de Westhuizen, and I hope you enjoy this one as well. This is these two fellas. You should enjoy this.
Is iets hier binne, ek voel dit in my bloed. Is dit omdat ek jonk is? Ja, ek ken my te goed. Daar's iets wat binne in my brand. Ek wil voluit lewe en ek deel met die land. Ons wil ook vergeet van alles. 'n bietjie maak of ons mal is. Kan ons alles agterlaat en in die goeie tye in 'n sak en pak. Kom ons gaan kuier, tot die aand gaan lê. Nog 'n bietjie langer, soos altyd sê. Kan ons vir altyd hierdie antwoord hê. Goeie tye in jou polsslag en dit pomp in jou bloed. Dis iets wat almal graag wil ken. Die gevoel van vryheid, hoe dit voel om te wen. Ons wil ook vergeet van alles. 'n bietjie maak of ons alles. Kan ons alles agterlaat en in die goeie tye in 'n sak en pak. Kom ons gaan kuier, door die aand gaan lê. Nog 'n bietjie langer, soos altyd sê. Kan ons vir altyd hierdie aand oor hê. Goeie tye, soos altyd sê. Dis wat ons wil hê. Dis wat ons wil hê. Kom ons gaan kuier, door die aand gaan lê. Nog 'n bietjie langer, soos altyd sê. Kan ons vir altyd hierdie aand oor hê. Goeie tye, soos altyd sê. Dis wat ons wil hê. Ja, dis wat ons wil hê. Dis wat ons wil hê. Dis wat ons wil hê.
Happy Heritage Day, South Africa. Yeah, it sounds like a hoedown, except it was in Afrikaans, not in English. So they would fit right in there with the country scene here in the United States. That's Bobby van Jaarsveld and Dirk van de Westhuizen. Dirk has a really cool song called Net So, which is pretty cool. But yeah, so that's an awesome song. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That's in honor of Heritage Day. I'll risk the copyright and maybe have to edit that out of the video later on. But thanks a lot. Fantastic music. My favorite part of the video, ladies and gentlemen, is when the dog is below the girls dancing and the dog's standing there with his tongue hanging out like this. And the dog's looking up at the girls. The symbology of that, the imagery of that is just hilarious. With the dog with his tongue hanging out. But there you go, folks. Bobby van Jaarsveld, very talented singer who sings in Afrikaans, and Dirk van de Westhuizen, who seems to be always pumped up on roids, but he's entertaining as well. I hope you enjoyed that. That was in honor of Heritage Day in South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Chris Wyatt Africa here on the Indaba Africa channel on Heritage Day 2020, the 24th of September 2020 in South Africa, a day originally set up by the Zulu people in South Africa to celebrate the heritage, the passing of King Shaka Zulu, who founded the Zulu nation. Presumably he died on the 24th of September, so they celebrated it every year. In 1995, there was a request that it become a holiday by the Zulu people, and it was shot down by the ruling ANC and said, nope, not going to do it. Later, it was decided after the Inkatha Freedom Party, a party ethnically based primarily amongst Zulu, they petitioned and complained about it. They were a much larger party in parliament back then, closer to 10% of the parliament. So they had more voices. They made a lot of noise, and it became known as Heritage Day. So the rest of the country appropriated Shaka Day, and it's now Heritage Day ever since a few years after that. In the early part of this century, in 2005, there was a move afoot to turn it into National Braai Day. National Braai Day. What's a braai? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you look to the side of my image right there, you'll see what a braai is. Here in the States, we call it a barbecue, but it's not quite the same thing, a barbecue and a braai. Bit different, but you get boerewors, you get those lovely shish kebabs, steaks, burgers, all this stuff. It's awesome. But it was an effort to make it National Braai Day back in 2005. In 2007, through the efforts, the social media efforts of one South African, Jan Skapno, who became known as Jan Braai, it informally became National Braai Day, and ever since then, it's been celebrated by millions of South Africans as National Braai Day, even though it's Heritage Day. So how cool is that, ladies and gentlemen? Erica says, I never noticed the dog, but I'm a gal. I don't notice. Yeah, I bet all the dudes saw the dog with his tongue hanging out. Yeah, Yanni Meyer says, thank you for reminding us of our culture. You're most welcome. C'est plaisir. C'est plaisir. It's my pleasure. In no Afrikaans pub in the country are there only 2 guys and 20 girls. Yeah, Tien, I was going to say, that's kind of a problem with the video. And yeah, but music videos are fantasy. They're not real. So, there aren't going to be all these girls and just 2 dudes. Something's wrong with that picture. Linky Olvaga says, credit Steve Hofmeyer and the Farm Murders. And I think you asked earlier if I saw that when the music was playing. I did. I live streamed the events at the Witkreuz. In case you missed that, you can go back and watch that stream. It's still available on my channel. A few days ago, I live streamed. I was up at 2 o'clock in the morning, actually 1 o'clock. I got up to prep for it and was live streaming at 2:30 in the morning, 8:30 in South Africa, covering the Witkreuz monument, which was very emotive, very emotional for many people. Steve Hofmeyer and Donnie van de Westhuizen also spoke there. Steve sang a song. They fired the cannon out of respect, and they erected 53 new crosses for South Africans tortured and murdered on farms in South Africa, rising the total yet again. So I did cover that live stream. Yes, so I did see that. I did see Steve Hofmeyer. I also saw the clip that Born Media cut out and made just of the performance, which had better video angles. Very well done for when he sang and also the words he spoke. Very, very powerful. But at the risk of Steve not coming on my channel, I think Steve needs to hit the gym. Lockdown is not helping his waistline. He's looking a little big there. He didn't look that big on camera when he was on my channel a few months ago. He must be enjoying life, eating plenty of the boerwors and having braais. But he was looking kind of big there. But what a talented guy. What a leader. He doesn't see himself as a leader, but he is a leader. Well done to Steve Hofmeyer. Bye, donkey, Steve. What else? It might be because these words are usually used as a mere statement of facts. Someone believes about another person. The K word became used by some of every color with negative connotations. Yeah, well, Keith, you're exactly right. It's like the swastika. The swastika is not evil. The Hakenkreuz, the Germans used, the Nazis used, not Germans, the Nazis used, that wasn't evil. That's an old Aryan Indian subcontinent symbol, which was meant for good luck and I think also fertility. It also had a meaning there. And it was used for millennia by Indians in the subcontinent. And it was also used in Europe. It was carried to Europe, and presumably by the Gypsies, the Romani people, I would guess, because they come from India originally. But it came to Europe, and if you go to the Carlsberg Brewery in Copenhagen, as you enter the brewery grounds, you look to the left, there are these stone carvings on the wall on both sides, these massifs of elephants. And both of the elephants have a blanket, and the blanket has a Hakenkreuz, a swastika on it. Carlsberg didn't do that because they supported the Nazi party. Those things were there decades before that. It's an old symbol, but unfortunately, it's been appropriated. Another example of something perfectly safe and legitimate, which means nothing about what people claim it is the so-called Confederate flag. Carl Dunn says, shish kebab is a society. Thank you. The so-called Confederate flag, which supposedly is something that endorses racism, is utter cock. It's nonsense. That flag is the battle flag of the Army of Northern Virginia. It's the flag which Robert E. Lee's army rallied around and the generals who controlled it before he took over in 1862. That's the flag they rallied around. It was a battle flag. It wasn't anything to do with racism. It had nothing to do with slavery. It had nothing to do with anything. It had everything to do with Virginia and defending Virginia's sovereignty. And that's what the flag is. That's why on the Dukes of Hazzard, they painted their hood with it. That's what it meant. They didn't do it because they believe that, that racism and slavery are good. That is a false misappropriation of that item. And why did that happen? Because overwhelmingly, when Jim Crow was put into place and measures were put in place by overwhelmingly Democratic Party racists in the South, many Southern state flags were modified, and you either had them replaced with parts of that flag or it was embedded somewhere in the flag in places like Alabama, South Carolina. And as a consequence, people suffering under racist legislation after the withdrawal of the U.S. Army, when the racists in the Democratic Party regained strength in the South after Reconstruction and imposed genuine and artificial barriers to prevent African Americans from experiencing the full experience of American life for decades, nearly a century, until the Civil Rights Act of 1963, which, by the way, should have been the Civil Rights Act of 1955, but the racist Democrats in the South and around the country prevented the Republican administration of Eisenhower from getting the Civil Rights Act passed during his administration. They delayed it for 8 more years until after Kennedy was assassinated. And then the racist bigot himself, President Johnson, He said, let's pass this. They'll owe us for centuries. They're ours. We'll have the black vote. So they did it. But yeah, there you go. So the battle flag of the Army of Northern Virginia is not a racist symbol. It's a lie. It's fiction. And if people in the South want to have statues to Robert E. Lee, more power to him. He served honorably in the United States Army, served in the Mexican-American War with great distinction. It later served Virginia in rebellion against the United States, but Virginians have a right to celebrate his heritage. Now, if somebody wants to put a statue of Robert E. Lee up on federal property, that I take issue with. But if the state of Virginia, in Charlottesville or in Richmond, wants to put a statue up to Robert E. Lee or his father, Light Horse Harry Lee, more power to him. More power to him. That's their choice. Andrew says, Heritage Month, it's from, we all come from, pity the rest of the government doesn't put it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Very emotional day for Erica. Okay. I don't know why. I hope it's not in a bad way. And Ronell says, hello, welcome to you, Ronell. Good to see you here. And Afrikaners have mostly lost their heritage like the Volksbeeld. Yeah, a lot of it's gone away, but there needs to be a cultural revival. That's what needs to happen. Please Google Afrikaner folk dance. I've not seen one for ages. Okay. All right. I'll see if I can find one. Carl, okay. There's Carl Rocks. Good to see you again. Checking with my man, the Colonel. Good to see you there. Hey, Wotan. Oh, that's Wotan. Okay. Good to see you there, Odin. Good to see Odin once again. I fail to make that connection. Welcome. Don't run away, Wotan, because we're going to put some Swana stuff up here shortly, so you're going to want to stay for that. As we celebrate we celebrate South Africa's heritage, I should say. Also come on the No Script Show. Okay. If you ask Jesse Lee Peterson, he will say there's no such thing as racism, only right, wrong, good, and evil. I wouldn't disagree with that, Malcolm. It's just wrong. Morally wrong and repugnant is the word I would use. Repugnant. Anyway, so let me try to, I'm going to save that for kind of folk dance, but I'm just going to get you now, folks. So let me just talk about the three cultures and ethnic groups and heritages I want to focus on today. So this is the first one, and this is an image of some Tswana dancers. Yes, this is in South Africa, but of course, these folks also live in Botswana. It's the Tswana-speaking peoples. Of course, in South Africa, the language is known as Tswana. In Botswana, it's known as Setswana. It's essentially the same language, folks, and it's mutually intelligible. People speak just fine. I can speak Setswana in Botswana, or I can show up in Pretoria or Kimberley, and people understand perfectly fine. Maybe not my pronunciation, but they understand the language. So these are traditional dancers, and if you've ever seen the Botswana or the Tswana speakers do these traditional dances, it rocks. It's really awesome, very talented. No, there's no reed dance. This is not a reed dance. That's a different culture altogether, Shack Dweller. But Odin, you know what I'm talking about. You've obviously seen these traditional dances. They're awesome. And you see that the traditional garb includes shells and at the bottom for making noise around your ankles, and also the clothing is made of leather cloth from butchered animals in the sparse areas like the Kalahari. So there you go. And also you'll see on the men especially some sort of headdress, which usually includes a feather of some sort from an ostrich or something like that. So these are Tswana dancers. And I'll show you in South Africa, folks, where the Tswana speakers are. If you look at this map of South Africa there, what you're going to see is that the green indicates locations where people speak Tswana to a large degree. The darker the green, the higher the percentage of the population that speaks Tswana. So you can see that it's overwhelmingly spoken in Northwest, some in the Northern Cape, and it reaches into the Free State. Now, what is interesting for folks to know is if you look in the Free State there and you slide across to the right towards Lesotho, that area of the Free State is populated as well by the Basotho people. The Basotho people and the Tswana speakers are close cousins. So much so that there's many things that are mutually intelligible. So when I go to Maseru in Lesotho from Botswana or from somewhere else, I fly in, I land there, and I say Dumelela. They understand exactly what I'm saying because it's the same greeting in Basotho. So there you go. Eric was talking about the White Cross Day. Well, this is very emotional. Yep. Yeah, it was very emotional indeed. I agree with you. Thank you, Eric. I thought you meant today. It's Braai Day. It shouldn't be emotional. It should be exciting. But I misunderstood. So that's the Tswana speakers, and you find about 2.6 million of them in South Africa, and about 1,400,000 of them in Botswana. And so together they make up about 4 million first language speakers, and amongst them would be our wonderful viewer here, Odin, who is a Tswana speaker, and that's his first language. So more power to the Tswana. Wonderful people. They are traditional herders, and they have a system known as the Kotsi system, or the Dikosi, in which these are traditional leaders or chiefs who are selected, and they make decisions. And you have the Khotla, in which kind of a council where people come and they argue out and solve disputes and discuss things of importance that matter to the group. So, for instance, in Botswana, you have the 3 Dikosi, the 3 chiefs, who were there when they asked the British to form the Bechuanaland Protectorate to protect them from an incursion of Trek Boers who were coming into their country, and they were worried about being overwhelmed and swamped. The Brits, looking for a buffer, were all too happy to say, yes, you can't go there. Stay in the Transvaal, stay in the Free State. You cannot go into Bechuanaland. It's now a British protectorate. The Dikosi were allowed to pretty much continue their political development independent of British influence, and it's one reason why Botswana's success is there today, because the traditional values, the traditional mechanisms for dispute resolution without resorting to a court remain largely in place. So that's the Tswana people. So Odin says, I appreciate your knowledge of our people and hope to have you on our show. I want to be on your show. Let me know. Let's get a date, folks. I got a lot going on. I'll be out of the net again coming up in October for about 3 weeks. I will do different hours of the day to stream earlier during the daytime, and I'll have an evening, which will be later. I apologize, but I got a gig. People want to pay me to do something. Money never hurts, so I'm going to do that. So I'll be doing that. But thank you, Odin. It's my pleasure. The Tswana people are fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, everybody's got jackasses in their groups, but as a people, their culture is awesome. You know, they have these amazing dishes like seswa. Seswa is pounded beef, and they pound it down. I mean, they really hit it hard, and sometimes they mix it with other things. I'm a fan of it being largely left alone. Also, like many in Southern Africa, they eat pop. Sorry, I don't like pop. That's not for me. It's rather bland. It's not my thing. But seswa, I love seswa. And listen, here's a secret that many people don't know, and South Africans are going to take umbrage with this, but so what? The biltong that is made in Botswana, very good, ladies and gentlemen. Very good stuff, especially the chili biltong. Yep, they make a very good biltong in Botswana, which is not known by many people. So, folks, that's the Tswana, the population of Tswana. So there you go. Also, some Tswana who are a little fond of the drink, they like to drink that chibuku. Some nasty stuff, folks. It's so popular that it's made commercially now, chibuku. You can buy it in the supermarket, chibuku. If you've ever had chibuku, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you haven't had it, look it up, chibuku. Not for me. Not for me. I'll pass. I'd rather have a Castle Lager, and you know how I feel about Castle. Andrea says those square items on their ankles are rattles for sound when dancing. Yes, exactly. Yep, they use shells to do it. Usually ostrich shells play a big role in that because there aren't any seashells. Andrea Jakob says, I have a big roll of boerewors and 5 kg of rump steak for the braai, but no one to braai with as a Chinese can't eat. That's funny. Before caps, it was stones and shells. Yep. Botswana beef. Yeah, thank you, Odin, for that. Carol Rux, the Botswana beef is fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. They have amazing beef. In fact, one of the major exports for Botswana is beef to the European Union. They have a special arrangement with them. They ship over $100 million a year worth of beef out of Botswana. It's free-range beef, very tasty. Saw some ladies in their traditional clothes at the shops today. Loved it. Well done for them. Yanni Meyer says, impressive knowledge of peoples of Africa, Chris. Well, thank you so much for that, Yanni. And you're going to see some more in just a moment as I celebrate another group of people who I have a special affinity for, who I think are really cool. Let's see. So, La Dolce Vita says, good evening. Hope you all had a great day during Heritage Celebration. Winnie, Winnie, you're in Texas. Nobody eats pop in Texas. But yeah, I'm with you. It's just bland. Kwaboti, traditional beer. Dikosi Monument is our Mount Rushmore. Yeah, except it's really small. It's really small. But the Dikosi statues, if that's the ones you're talking about in Habaroni, which were erected, I don't know, less than a decade ago, are really awesome. They're like copper color bronze. In fact, I may have a photograph of that. I can show you guys that. Chibuku was found in Rhodesia. Is that true, Rob? I didn't know that. I did not know that. But of course, there's a lot of influence from Zimbabwe. A lot of Rhodesians went there. A lot of Ndebele especially have fled into Botswana. And the irony is that in 1966, when Botswana became independent, Rhodesia was full of Botswana domestic workers because there was no work for them in Botswana. They went to Rhodesia. They got jobs as domestic workers. Flash forward to the year 2001, and Botswana is full of Zimbabweans who are domestic workers and low-wage earners who come over. Also, some people higher in the economic sphere, but a lot of those folks who can't survive in Zimbabwe, so they come to Botswana, completely flipped it around. And the difference is good governance, non-racial governance in Botswana as to racist, bigoted, hateful, thieving, scumbag ZANU-PF governance in Zimbabwe. That's the difference. The jewel, the crown jewel of Southern Africa, a productive country with productive agricultural mining assets, a wonderful culture amongst all of its groups, very successful, sound infrastructure, inherited a wonderful situation and pissed it all down the drain because ZANU-PF is a bunch of thieving, racist liars. And they destroyed that country. By contrast, Botswana has had good leadership, even though it's had just a single party in charge since 1966. It has had good governance, minimized corruption, although corruption does exist, and people are not treated differently on the basis of their skin color. Everyone's treated equally, and they'll have a fair opportunity. But despite that, of course, Botswana, about half the population, about 40%, still lives on less than $2.60 a day, so it's not exactly paradise. There are problems. Are many South Africans emigrating to Botswana? Brett, that's a good question. Some, but not many. It's a small country with just over 2 million people, and they couldn't handle a lot. There are some South Africans who are clever, who built relationships up in businesses and property ties in Botswana long ago, and they have a refuge they can go to. Karaxi says, Ke Motswana. Hey, Ke Motswana. I am a Motswana too. Yes. Okay. So that's the Motswana, folks. So let me move on to another group here that I want to share with you before we get out of here. I've got some cool stuff to show you. So these are Basotho. This gentleman is Basotho in South Africa. Now, the Basotho people are in South Africa, primarily in the Free State, but they also, of course, are in Lesotho, up in the mountains, the Drakensberg. Look at that waterfall behind this dude. They are known for a couple of things. Their hats, which I don't think are all that cool, but they love it. They're known for their blankets, which are necessary because you freeze your bum off in Lesotho, ladies and gentlemen. It is cold in Lesotho. So, especially in the wintertime. But even in the summertime, it can get chilly at the high altitudes. So they're known for their blankets, and they're also known for firearms, in case you didn't know that. The Basotho are very independent people, and they frequently carry firearms, particularly long rifles and shotguns around in public. It's something that's just part of their culture, and it is a residual effect of the fact that when the Trek Boers came up through what became the Free State between the Tswana speakers, who are cousins of the Basotho, and drove a wedge between them, or these two groups had spread because of the Ndebele incursions. So they'd spread to the west and up into the mountains, the Tswana that way, and then the Basotho this way. So there was an open space where the Trek Boers came into. Some of the Trek Boers kept pursuing and trying to get more lands as they advanced on, and eventually they got to the Drakensberg. And the Basotho people under King Moshoeshoe withdrew into the mountains to survive as a group. And they defeated the Trek Boers by shooting down on them from above with their rifles and shotguns, and they survived. And so that's part of their tradition. So that is, horses are also part of the tradition. Thank you, Andrea. Andres, I almost forgot about that. That is absolutely true. Horses is a big part. Typical blanket, pure wool. Ooh, yeah, pure wool. No thanks. I live anywhere, but looks like bigotry is the new theme. We all know. Yeah, that is definitely the case. All over the world, especially here in the United States with the lies about systemic racism and idiocy that's going on in this country. It's really, really sad. All right, so let me get the next one up here. That is Basotho. This is where the Basotho people live. And if you look at that map, you can see just above me, whoops, always goes backwards. So you see the Free State there. And then just that little gray section completely surrounded by South Africa is Lesotho, which is where over 2 million Basotho people live. But the dark areas in the Free State, so that's kind of their homeland. You see that it's directly adjacent to the lands where the Tswana are. So pretty cool. What are Basotho's ANC supporters by and large? Yes, unfortunately, most of them in the Free State do vote for the ANC. That's unfortunate. That is true. Good question there, Brett. But that's the map where you find the predominant number of Basotho. And you can see that there's a little green patch on the southeast corner. That's because Lesotho is right next to it. So it's not like it's isolated. Those people are all kind of grouped together. And you can see some encroachment up there in Gauteng, in that little province to the north, the wealthiest part of Africa, where you find Johannesburg and Pretoria. They reach into there as well. So there you go. But the languages are, in many respects, mutually intelligible. Right, folks, that's two of the groups I want to celebrate today on Heritage Day, September 24th, 2020. Heritage Day in South Africa, or informally known as Braai Day. What's a braai? Well, look right there, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that steak. Is that mouth-watering? Hendo, are you hungry yet? Look at that. Look at that shish kebab. I don't eat onions, so I would have put the onions on there. But you see boerewors, you see chicken, you see steaks, you see, that's a braai. That's a braai. Lekker braai. Anyway, folks, let me get back my picture. I lost it here somehow. Hang on a second. There it is. Where's my Heritage Day? There you go. Happy Heritage Day, South Africa, September 24th, 2020. Right there. Pretty cool, huh? I love it. That's awesome. So now I want to get to the group that the last group I want to celebrate, and that includes many people who are part of this audience. As you see, we have Tswana speakers who are part of that culture here. I don't know if there are any Basotho who follow my program, but we do have Tswana. Odin's not the only one. There are several who follow the program, and now many of the people who follow this program are either colored or they're Afrikaans white South Africans. And so now we're going to celebrate them. I'm going to show you a photograph. This is pretty cool, and this is a typical cultural thing, because look behind this person. Now, look at that young lady, and what do you see behind her? Cattle. That's in the Free State. Look at that tabletop flat grasslands. Does anybody know who that is? Does anybody know who that is? You might know who that young lady is. That young lady was a guest on my program a few months ago. She's a Boer meisie and a very strong advocate for Afrikaans and Boer culture in South Africa. And you may find her on Twitter. She has a YouTube account. Odin ruined the surprise. That is right, Odin. It is Renee Kruger. What a lovely young lady she is. Very articulate. She was a fantastic guest. That's an old stream. I'm looking to have her back on the channel sometime soon. We talked a few weeks ago before I went to Wyoming, but that is Renee Kruger. She posted that and another photo today on her Twitter account in recognition of Heritage Day. So, Chris, the Battle of Blood River needs to be remembered. Yeah, it is. It's remembered on the 16th of December by South Africans. Was celebrated that day under the National Party, but that day is the Unity Day now for South Africa. But it is celebrated on the 16th. Is he related to Paul Kruger? Is who related to Paul Kruger? Afrikaans culture includes the colored folk. Yes, Yanni, it does. Did you not hear me say that colored South Africans? Absolutely. Absolutely. I didn't. And the original trek boers weren't white South Africans. They were coloreds. The Greek was and others who left the Cape to get away from rule and trekked up into the Karoo and the Northern Cape and eventually found their way all the way up to where Kimberley's at, which is the heartland of where the Greek was from, which is a colored group of South Africans. Yes, absolutely. Dingane was evil. He was. He betrayed Pete Retief, my namesake. That's where the beard comes from, Pete Retief. Yeah. Okay, so this is where Afrikaans is spoken in South Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see it spoken widely, and it's a predominant language throughout the Western and Northern Cape and parts of the Eastern Cape. Now, what we should say is that a lot of that dark green are places where like 2 people per kilometer live, so there aren't a lot of people there, and it's still the predominant language. That's because it's predominantly coloreds. Mixed race South Africans descended from the group of Khoi, San, Dutch, German, Huguenots, Cape Malay slaves who all knocked boots, mixed, and had little babies back in the 17th century and the early part of the 18th century, and then became a distinct cultural group that were by and large Dutch Reformed Church, Afrikaans speaking, and had Dutch or Huguenot surnames. So there you go, folks. Brett says, I thought most Cape descendants were of English. No. The English have very little impact in Western Cape, even though the Cape Colony was under British administration for a long time. Nope. The British have some impact there, but very little. Over half the population, 2/3 of the population of the Western Cape, for instance, speaks Afrikaans. That's about half of the population is colored, about 17% is white, and most of the white population actually speaks Afrikaans. I did mention German. I said that. I said French, Huguenot, Dutch. I said all those things, Shack Dweller. Why are you repeating what I said? Nothing in KZN. Quite a lot of Afrikaans speakers. No, not nothing. Not nothing, Erica. This is color-coded. You'll see that all of South Africa has some degree of green. That's not white. If you're looking at the map, If you're looking at the map, where's my finger at? I get my finger over here. I got to get there. Okay. So if you're looking at the map, there you go. If you're looking at the map, you'll see the color there, that's not white, that's green. That just means the percentage is very low as a percentage, those who speak it. Easy to draw a boundary. Yeah, Yanni. Yeah, Cape Secession is quite an easy thing to figure out when you look at this map based on language. You talk about a nation, a cultural nation based on language. Absolutely. That is true. Natal was a British heartland. Yes, Malcolm, but they took control of the Cape Colony, but only sent administrators. There weren't many colonists. Many of the English who settled as colonists in South Africa correctly came to KwaZulu-Natal after they stole it from the Boers. The Trek Boers founded Natalia before the Brits made a colony out of it, but then the Brits stole it from the Dutch, or not the Dutch, the Afrikaners, excuse me. Yep, there you go. So, is she related to Freddy Krueger? No, she's not. She's much more pleasant than Freddy Krueger. But Renee Krueger, Boer Maisi, it's a farm girl from South Africa. Lovely young lady. She's a postgraduate student right now, finishing up her studies, and hopefully I'll have her back on the channel sometime. Andrea says, it looks like the United Liberty Alliance borderline. Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, indeed, that might be something mistaken for it. Let's see. Let me get out of this screen over here. I want to see. There was one more song I wanted to play for you guys. I remember the request for the Afrikaner folk dance, but I haven't had a chance to get to that. So that's not what I'm looking for. Shoot. Here. Oh, that's... come on. Did I lose this thing? That's going to suck if I lost it. Let me see if I can go back and find it. There you go. Whoops. Sorry about that, folks. That was not supposed to happen. Let me get to a point here. I want to find this video. Come on. I want to play one more. This was one I really love. Oh, it's a commercial, so I got to wait for the commercial to end here. There's another video. Risk another effort to be stamped out here, but let me see. Let me see if I can find this. Here it is. No, that's not the song. Trying to find a song here, which you guys will really appreciate. Okay, here it is. This is a cool song. I want to play this one. All right, here we go. Here we go. This song I'm going to play in just a moment is really awesome. I hope you guys like this as well. Risking a lot of copyright stuff, but we're celebrating, folks. It is Heritage Day in South Africa, so why not? Why not go all out? Happy Heritage Day, South Africa. It's also informally National Bride Day, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening to Chris Wyatt Africa on the Indaba Africa channel, and today, September 24th, 2020, it's all South Africa. Not talking about the U.S., not talking about Ghana, not talking about Morocco, not talking about New Zealand and rugby. We are talking South Africa, but rugby is a South Africa thing. Nonetheless, folks, congratulations to South Africans wherever you find yourself. If you're at home in South Africa, if you're working abroad in Botswana or in Namibia, or you've sought refuge from the political chaos, the murder, the tortures, the criminal escapades of the angry, naughty children in South Africa by going to greener pastures in Perth or in Sydney, Melbourne, Tasmania, or Auckland, Wellington, somewhere in the UK. God bless you all. Happy Heritage Day. Thoughts on Zulu history, not just Shaka. Zulu history is interesting. I think it's fascinating. Got a book right up there, Zulu Kings on the shelf, which you can't see because I've got the Heritage Day sticker up. All right, folks, I'm going to play now another song for you guys. Uden says, I support Cape Secession. I'm a Valley, but it won't happen in this government. Don't walk up to a girl and ask her for a three-way with her hottest friend. It's incremental. That's funny. That's funny. Will the Springbok follow the Independent Cape? I don't know. We'll see. All right, folks. I hope you enjoy this. I'm going to put it on. Listen, I was a huge fan of Franny du Plessis. Stadt de Verlangen really is a song that captured my heart. I loved it. And then I became a fan of a lot of other music. I noticed that she was recording with her brother, Ruan Josh. I enjoyed their music. They have really cool songs. And then I was not really a big fan of Juanita du Plessis because Juanita was singing country music for a long time, which is that's not my bag. But the last several years, she's been doing lots of pop music, and she rocks. When the three of them perform together, mom, son, and daughter, it's amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, here you have it. Franny du Plessis, Juanita du Plessis, and Ruan Josh. They did a medley at the Corona 5, and this is one song I absolutely love that they sang together. So enjoy this one, folks. Here we go. Going to play. I didn't turn the mic on. Sorry. Folks, that was Franny du Plessis, Juanita du Plessis, and Ruan Josh. Sorry, I didn't turn the microphone on. If I leave it on when the video plays, I get feedback and you get distortion, so I turned it off. My apologies. Yeah, sound is back. So Franny du Plessis, Juanita du Plessis, and Ruan Josh. Juanita is the mom. Franya and Ruan are the children. And by the way, all of them are stars in their own right with big success, and none of them are South African. They're from Namibia, ladies and gentlemen, in case you didn't know that. Pretty cool, huh? So I just saw something here while this is playing, and Shack Dweller wrote sister-in-law's cousin Juanita. Okay, stop. Shack Dweller, are you telling me that your sister-in-law's cousin is Juanita Duplessis? Is that what you're telling me? Shack Dweller, you owe me a connection. You owe me a number. You owe me a way to get a hold of Juanita and Franya and Ruan. I reached out to them through their agent, and they just blew me off. They never responded. I want to interview all of them on the channel, separately and together. You know that I interview Afrikaans performers on here to promote Afrikaans culture. Shack Dweller, hook me up, hook me up, hook me up. Please do that if that's true. All right, folks, please help Germ. How can we support Germ? You can just watch his videos. He just can't do live streams right now, so I'm not so sure what you're talking about supporting Germ. What's going on there? Yeah, so Zulu's historically a cruel warring nation. Remember Blaubeerkrans? Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, there's a lot we could talk about there. Jimsy said, would Shaka Zulu have supported BLM? I don't think Shaka Zulu was supported the concept of race. He was supported the concept of the Zulu nation, and he would have been, he's all into oppression of all others. If you became Zulu, he was fine with it. Bongani Nguenia says, do you know the song Joe Mafela Shibeleza? I do not. Bongani, thank you for that. I'll check it out. There's a few black South African performers that are really awesome, but the problem is that their music is hard to come across. It's not really widely promoted by record labels in South Africa, and unless you hang out in clubs or you just happen to catch it, it's hard to see. But there's some really good music across the board. Catherine says, that's awesome. Thank you, Chris. That wasn't the song I wanted to play. Calfoot Kinna's Barefoot Children was not the song I wanted to play, but somehow I lined it up for the wrong one. So I'm going to try and see if I can find the one I'm looking for. The one I really want to play here. The problem is that there's a solo by Franya in between, which is she does Staat de Verlangen, which is awesome. And I love Staat de Verlangen, but that is not the song that I want to play for you guys because I want to play where they're all together again. So here it is. I just found it now. Let me get back to the beginning. All right, so that's where it's at there. Let me see. And I'll play that on the way out the door. That'll be the last song I say because this video is just going to be, it's going to be all chopped up because they're going to come after me for copyright. But you know what? It's Heritage Day in South Africa, ladies and gentlemen. To heck with it. I'm hot full of the way that they're handling copyrights here. It's just not right. Anyway, so what else? Well, this is way behind my chat over here. What's going on? Brett, you asked this question about, oh no, that was about Botswana. Are many South Africans emigrating to Namibia? No. There's a possibility for them to get there, but not many are emigrating. That period is historical and long over. But Botswana and Namibia really can't handle large populations. They're deserts. There's not a lot of space, not a lot of water. It's a real challenge. Okay. Yanni Meyer, I'm really glad to have you on here, man. By the way, Yanni was fantastic, folks. In case you missed that live stream, go back for the Witkois Monument. Courtesy of Yanni, who reached out to me. We had live stream coverage, although the network was horrible. That's not Yanni's fault, but Yanni did a brilliant job. Still waiting for those videos, Yanni. If you're editing those ones you promised to send, let me know about those. But Yanni Meyer was fantastic covering the events, the emotional events of the Witkois Monument a few days back this past weekend. So thank you so much for that, Yanni. And also thanks to Boa Media, who put together the WhatsApp group that has gone all the way back to when we had the biker rally, Bikers Against Farm Murders and Racism, followed by the car rally, and now the Witkois Monument. They've been continually keeping a WhatsApp group updated, which allows me to get videos and photographs to show you guys. Very, very impressive. Folks, there's attention on farm murders now, Place Maud, long overdue. Let's not let this die on the vine. Turn up the heat against the angry, naughty children. Turn up the heat. Keep the protests coming. Keep talking to the media. Make sure the world knows about this. And while you're at it, make sure the world hears about how the ANC has failed society abysmally. 57 to 60 murders per day in South Africa. And what is the ANC? How many of those are ever solved? How many people are actually convicted of a crime they've committed? Rape and murder. So few that people do it with impunity in South Africa. It's disturbing, folks. Don't let the pressure off. Let's keep the angry, naughty children going. Bongani says it's a timeless classic. Well, okay, thanks for that. I appreciate it. Shaka did not have a problem with the whites. His issue was with other African tribes and weren't Zulu. Well, Brett, he also murdered Pete Retief and his party and then sent his MPs to murder over 1,300 women and children and elderly men. Slaughter them. So when you say he didn't have a problem with whites, I think he did have a problem with whites, not from a racial standpoint, but from the fact that they were invaders into what he considered his zone of influence, and he didn't want them there. So he promised them the land, signed a treaty, and said, you can have it here. You can work there as long as you go and collect these cattle from these people who stole them from me. They did. Retief and the Trek Boers went and recovered cattle that were stolen from the Zulu, gave them back to Shaka, and he said, thank you so much, my friends. Where do I sign? Sign the treaty. Come back tomorrow for next week for a big fest. We'll have a big party here. We'll celebrate the treaty. And they did. And when they entered, the guards said, well, you have to leave your weapons here because no one can take weapons in the presence of the king. It violates our culture. And like suckers, Pete Retief and his party left their weapons there, and then they were murdered one by one by the Zulu. So I would disagree when you say that Shaka didn't. Oh, that's sorry. That's Dingani, not Shaka. Okay, I'm sorry. Dingani. You're talking Shaka. My apologies, Brett. I was talking about Dingani. Dingani had a problem. Shaka didn't encounter many whites in his day. There weren't that many in KwaZulu-Natal at that time. There were some. They were just moving into the area, but not many. Sorry. Yeah, no, Brett, I misspoke. Sorry. Senior moment. Brett, you are correct. I was talking about Dingani, not Shaka. So, yeah. Yeah, got it, Brett, got it. Okay, you've written it twice now. I misspoke. I wasn't wrong. I just misspoke because too many things going through my head. Yes. Dingani also and Shaka both killed a lot of Tswana and they killed a lot of Basotho. That's true. That is true on both. KZN rioters, roads must fall this week. Yeah, what the hell? Digging up the roads? The people with pickaxes out there digging up the coal tar roads aren't farmers. They aren't people producing anything. So where do they think the food's going to come from that can't be transported on these roads anymore? Thank you, Andre. Yes, it was Dingani. I misspoke. Please, come on, give me a break here, folks. Enough. Catch up in the stream here. I misspoke. I said, but if you were paying attention to the stream, I talked about Dingani earlier, and I've talked about Dingani endlessly on this channel. So obviously, we all make mistakes. I misspoke. And I corrected myself before I even saw anyone had said that. So anyway, start supporting Germ. I don't know what do you mean by supporting Germ. That's the second time that's shown up in the stream there. Yeah, he did. He's trying to kill Shaka as well. Yeah, exactly. Betrayal is comfortable. Vimeo is still Google. Same thing can happen. Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that Vimeo belonged to Google. Nice Heritage Day pick. Well, thank you very much for that, Rhodesians Never Die. Is it necessary to register for live commentary? You must be talking about Vimeo. All right, folks. Yeah. So, okay. Now that we're straight, I was talking about Dingani, not Shaka. I misspoke when I said Shaka. I misread. I read exactly what Brett wrote. In my head, registered Dingani, not Shaka, because he'd asked the question a couple times, and for some reason, Shaka in there. So, yeah. But Shaka didn't encounter many whites. He encountered some, but not so many whites. He allowed whites missionaries to practice in his kingdom. So, yeah, but maybe he didn't have the same sort of issue that Dingani did, but Dingani saw them as a threat and sought to exterminate them. And he got a good start on it. Dingani did. But yeah, Shaka was a bit different. And then, of course, we have missionaries practicing throughout that time frame. Daniel Lindley, the American missionary, was in Zululand in the early part of the 19th century. Prophesizing himself, as well as Swedish missionaries and others who were down there. There's a bust of Daniel Lindley, the American missionary, sitting in Lindley Hall at Ohio University in Athens, Ohio. I know because I used to go in that building frequently. That was where the Army ROTC, Reserve Officer Training Corps, offices were located and where we had our language labs and our classes located there. So I was very familiar with Lindley Hall, and it was named after Daniel Lindley, an American missionary from Ohio. Pretty cool stuff. Have you seen the South African film? Yeah, I've seen District 9. District 9 rocks. It's awesome. I love the way they depict the Nigerians as gangsters in that movie. And of course, it's all the whole name of the movie, District 9. It's a takeoff of District 6 from Cape Town, and it's just District 9 is hilarious. It's a great South African film. Yeah, it was really, really well done. Very funny. Good cinematography in it too. Really good stuff. Why talking about the past when YouTube is doing bad now? I don't understand the question, Jason. Let's see what else. Jim G, the roads must fall. What's traditional cultural method for removing a rotten chief, corrupt leaders in case they had any idea? Poison? In Zimbabwe, it's a traffic accident. There was also when Dingani killed Shaka and warned Retief not to go deal with Dingani. Yeah, that's true. It was a good movie, says Hendo. I agree. Right. Okay, so The Boer would not even attempt to make a deal for land with Shaka, as he would kill them on sight. Brutal killer. Yeah, Shaka was brutal. Absolutely brutal. No doubt about that. Can't dispute that one. Right. So we've covered a lot of stuff today. We've celebrated 3 different cultural heritage groups on Heritage Day in South Africa. Of course, with the Tswana-speaking South Africans, with their heritage, showed an image of the dancers, traditional dancers, and also the language area with the map to show where they come from and where they speak, primarily Northwest and the Northern Cape. You find them, but always abutting right up to the Free State and into the Free State as well. And of course, that population spills into what today is Botswana. The Basotho people, who are primarily in the Free State, but they inch a little bit up into Gauteng, and also down in the Eastern Cape on the opposite side because of Lesotho, which is the homeland these days of the Basotho people. But there are Basotho in South Africa as well, the Southern Sotho. There are also Sotho speakers in the north of the old Transvaal, different group of people. And then we, of course, talked about Afrikaans-speaking South Africans, including the colored South Africans and the Western Cape. Well, that's one thing I did do is I didn't put up an image of Cape Colors. I probably should have done that, but I did show a map where these people all live and where they come from. Jason says, I'm talking about germ. I'm not a very vocal person, but I feel it's an important topic in the news. What percentage of four-trackers left the Cape Province to protest the Dutch East India Company? It's a good question. I can give you the actual number of four-trackers who left. It was 15,000 roughly who left and went up into what became the Free State and the Transvaal over a period of time. The advanced scouts that went out and found routes and found watering places and mapped out the paths to take the wagon trains, the oxens with the families later on, and lead parties up in there, kind of like in the West United States on the Oregon Trail, the Santa Fe Trail, people moving out to the West. Nigerians are involved in trafficking and other crime. Not all, though. That's true on both statements. District 9 got a thumbs up. Yep. They left because of British rule, because they were chafing under British rule. Also, a contributing factor was some people were tired of fighting wars with the Zulu nation. Or not the Zulu. Once again, I misspoke with the Xhosa Nation. Sorry, just like the Shaka and Dingani thing. The Xhosa Nation, a series of 9 wars, border wars, frontier wars between the people who became the Boers and Afrikaners, primarily fighting against the Xhosa who are encroaching from the east going west, as the Boers went from west to east, and they ran each other. Fought a series of 9 wars over a period of many decades. And some people were just tired of that, and so they were looking for greener pastures. That also contributed to it. The slave laws meant they had to collect the money for them in London, so that was the last straw. Yeah, that's another piece of it altogether, too. The Brits outlawing slavery played a role in it, too. Yep. But they did leave because the British captured the area in 1795 originally, and then lost it in 1801, I think it was, and then regained control of the Cape Colony in 1806 or thereabouts, and then from then on, they deeply influenced events in what became South Africa. So there you go. The Xhosa in the Xhosa War were foolish. They burnt their own crops. Yeah, well, that's because they had these seers, these prophets that told them to do it. This woman prophet said, burn all your crops. And they did. And they went hungry. Yeah, no, it's strange stuff. They can be independent if they cross the Orange River. Well, you mean today? Or you mean back then? All right, folks, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play one more song and just take another risk. I'm going to have to edit this whole video after it's over. But this is once again going to be Franny du Plessis, Juanita du Plessis, and Ruan Josh. I love this song, the 3 of them. Just to note, the slaves were mostly from Indonesia and Malaysia, not from South Africa. I never said that, Andre. I've said it hundreds of times on this channel, that slavery didn't work in South Africa. The Dutch settlers tried to enslave the Khoi and San, and they were like this. Useless slaves. They refused to be enslaved, and they wouldn't work even if they were beaten to death, or they would flee and run away. And actually, they hunted down, especially the Bushmen, the San, they hunted down as subhumans. There were bounties on them at times, and they knocked boots with the Khoi, but also with the San, and produced a whole new cultural group. But no, the slaves were not Africans. And when sorry, I'm laughing because it's just too funny. What's her name? Oprah Winfrey said that she was descended from slaves from South Africa. I laughed. The moment I heard her say that, I said, you're a dumb jackass, Oprah. You don't know what you're talking about. There are no slaves from South Africa brought through the Atlantic slave trade. The furthest south that the slave trade got was in the Angola region around the mouth of the Congo River, and people were brought out of the Congo and out of Angola and what today is Congo Brazzaville, not South Africa, not happening. So she claimed that, and she later claimed that, well, she got a bad information from the DNA company. Yeah, whatever. You also don't know anything about history. I laughed all the way to the toilet when I urinated about that so I wouldn't wet my pants about Oprah Winfrey. No, the people who were enslaved in South Africa were brought from the Dutch East Indies, which of course included modern Indonesia, the Malay Peninsula, and so they came there. Those people were Muslim because Islam had reached that location centuries prior to that. When they brought those Muslims to the Western Cape, they introduced Islam into South Africa, modern South Africa, for the first time. That's where Islam entered. Later in the 19th century, people from Pakistan and from India, from the Indian subcontinent, were brought by the Brits as indentured workers and as free workers to KwaZulu-Natal, or Natal at the time, to work the sugarcane fields. And they did. They were also predominantly Muslim. So that's the second influence of Islam that came into the country. But Islam was introduced in the Western Cape by the arrival.
Dis wat die oog nooit kan sien nie, want het lê diep in die hart. Dis die goud wat niemand anders ooit kan vat. Dis wat die oor nooit kan hoor nie, en akkoorde lê die woorde sag, hierdie plek waar net ek en jy kan wag. Waar ek veilig is, waar ek sag kan rus, die storms en die elke donker nag, waar ons elkeen weet, ons sal mekaar nooit vergeet. Ons is meer as net 'n melodie, ons is tussen al die lyne, ons is mekaar se tweede harmonie, ek en jy. Dis waar ons kan sien hoe ons voel sonder woorde, wat tussen woorde staan. Ons is meer as net 'n melodie, ons is meer as net 'n melodie, ons is tussen al die lyne, ons is mekaar se tweede harmonie, ek en jy. Ons is een, ja, ons sit tussen die lyne, ons is een, meer as net 'n melodie, ons is een.
There you go, folks. That's one of my favorite performances by these guys. Awesome. That's Juanita du Plessis and her children, Franny du Plessis, children, they're adults, and Ruan Joss. They are fantastic performers. Many folks know Juanita du Plessis because she's a long-established country musician in South Africa, singing in Afrikaans, but she's from Namibia. They're all from Namibia. So, yeah, Bongani, just for clarification there, just so people don't come back and go, you said there was never any slavery. No, what I'm talking about is institutional slavery, the institutionalization of it that never existed in South Africa outside of the slaves brought from the Dutch East Indies. That was the sole exception. And as far as if the question Bongani had is slavery, if South Africans were taking to the Atlantic slave trade, the DNA evidence shows that that's not the case. I don't know why Oprah fell for the hoodwinking story that she was told that she was from South Africa. I just think some uninformed idiot at the DNA company told her that, or maybe one of her handlers told her that, and without thinking for a moment, not knowing the history of Africa, she didn't bother to take a second and go, wait a second. There was no slave trade from South Africa. How could I be from South Africa? That's a really odd situation. Yeah, anyway, so, yep. Black markets matter. Shack Dweller says, didn't answer me, but I must have missed that. So my apologies, Shack Dweller. I guess I got caught up in the conversation when I misspoke about Dingani and when I was talking about Shaka. Charmaine Smith is leaving. Charmaine, I didn't even know you were here, Charmaine. And now you're gone? Oh, my goodness. How come people don't chat and then they just say goodbye? Xenophobia is flaring up, not just against Nigerians, but against all foreigners in South Africa. And it's rearing up against South Africans, for that matter. Okay, Shack Dweller. Okay, I keep looking for the Shack Dweller thing. Yeah, please send me the email, Shack Dweller. I appreciate it because I didn't see your Oh, you'll try your best. As St. Afrikaans. Okay, gotcha. Thank you, Shack Dweller. You'll try your best. I got it. Okay, appreciate that. Winnie says, love the music. Yeah, you won't love how I have to edit these videos and this thing will get banned and I won't be able to earn anything off of it. But I mean, the streams, unless people super chat, which doesn't seem to be happening much anymore. I guess it's salty crack time in South Africa. People don't have any money. But I don't make much money off of the ads anyway. So that's fine if it doesn't, as long as I don't get a copyright strike. But I've had videos banned because I had played 3 songs or more. And I did that today with 4 songs. So we'll see what happened. Anyway, so folks, you'll notice that I have gone longer today than I have all week because I have nothing to prepare for the next hour, so I'm just enjoying it. Some of the slave ships stopped in Cape Town and Good Hope in the Horn of Africa for food, and some slave ships were stranded during storms. Some African slaves were that. Yes. Okay, Andre, you're talking about slaves were brought from East Africa. It was a small number of ships. It wasn't much of a trade. Most of that trade went to the Arab world. But if you did come down from the Mozambique and from the Tanganyika area and went around, and they would stop to refit at Cape Town, or they would run aground, and the people who were enslaved on ships would escape. And so you did get some fresh blood from other parts of Africa that wound up in South Africa, but they weren't people who were enslaved in South Africa. Yep. Trevor Noah is South Africa's greatest South African historian. Yeah, he's so well informed. Not. Anyway, very true. Sometimes the only functional economy in unstable countries. What did Jim G say? I must have missed that. I heard if you keep under 30 seconds, you don't get copyright. That's not true, Shack Dweller. That's a myth. I've been copyright attacked for playing 15 seconds of a song when I was pantomiming in front of it, which means I've altered the content. So it shouldn't have been any copyright claim, but it's software that looks at it. So the software is looking for particularly for some songs. I guarantee you that Juanita du Plessis music is going to be like, boom, stop that. And definitely the Boer Pumpy with Rika Snell and Snowcup is definitely going to come because it's a recent one. Anne-Marie says, sent you an email today talking about Germ. Anne-Marie, I have not read my email. I actually got some sleep last night, went to bed about 1:30 after finishing up my slides for this morning's presentation on U.S. Africa Command. After I did that, I got up at 6:30 and got ready and then started teaching at 8:30 after I did some other business. And then I finished and I made the stream for this. And then I took care of a couple minor things. And here I am on the stream. I'll finish this. I'll take about a 10-minute break and then start teaching again at 2 o'clock. I'll finish at 4. I'll set up for the late stream. I'll do a late stream for an hour. I'll finish at 5:30, 6 o'clock. I'll take a break, walk for a little bit, get something to eat. And then I may get to my email. It'll be that late. But I had to set up coordination for guests coming up in the program for this weekend. Just a reminder, folks, we have tomorrow on the channel, and I need to get in touch with him. Flock Silliers will be on my channel. Springbok number 637 will be my guest, current kicking coach for the French national side. He's also been a coach for the likes of Mornay Sten, who's a brilliant kicker. So we'll have him on the channel tomorrow. That's my series for Rugby Ascendant. And then on Sunday, I have AF Bronco, who is a political cartoonist and satirist here in the U.S. and does amazing work. In fact, let me see if I got one of those up here, if I deleted it. Let me see if it's here. I had it here. If I have the Bronco thing still. If I have Bronco, I'll bring it up and let you guys. Here we go. So this is a cartoon he did a couple days ago. Whoops, you really can't see that. But the bottom line is he did one about Joe Biden. He says, this is my list for the Supreme Court. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Senator Robert Byrd, dead. Santa Claus, doesn't exist. Don't tell the kids. Corn Pop. Oh, Corn Pop. Stacey Abrams. Mickey Mouse. Fictional. Bernie Sanders. Deranged. And Hillary Clinton. Confused. That was his list. Anyway, so that's from AF Bronco. Tony Bronco. He'll be on the program Sunday. On Monday, I'm supposed to have Laura Lynn Tyler Thompson, who is a YouTuber and a broadcaster, a social conservative, in Canada. She's from Vancouver. That'll be on Monday. And next week, I'm planning some other guests. So I have to coordinate all those things. It takes time. Also, as we saw, I'm still working. I'm supposed to have Man Patry on the channel. Duma's supposed to be on the channel, but I'm confused about when he responded. I have to go back and check that and see if I got another response from him. But Duma will be on the channel sometime soon. Man Patry, I'm looking forward to that. And then also, we saw that Odin said I need to come on his channel. Well, let me know, Odin. We got to figure it out because I have a period of about 3 weeks in which I will not be available in the best hours for streams in South Africa because people will be in bed or it'll be too early and they won't watch. What's that? Catherine just did something. Let's get that out of the way. There you go. Catherine Piper just gave a super sticker. It said, thank you. Well, Catherine, you're so welcome. It's my pleasure. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. That's really, really helpful. Thank you. Do appreciate it. By the way, folks, if I were doing this stream and this channel and making these videos to make money, I'd be kind of disappointed, despite the generous super chats, because while I was gone, the revenue stream did this. It looked like the South African economy falling off a cliff. So this month, not making much in the way of anything for the channel because I was gone. But as I said, I had to help out veterans in Wyoming, and it was a great trip. It was fantastic. And now I'm getting ready to close, and the audience just jumped up by 20%. Isn't that strange? Once again, folks, welcome. You're listening to Chris White Africa on the Indaba Africa channel here on the 24th of September 2020 on Heritage Day in South Africa, which was originally Shaka Day to celebrate the Zulu people celebrating the passing, well, not celebrating his passing, but celebrating the heritage of King Shaka, who was presumed to have passed away on the 24th of September in 1838. Does that sound right? Anyway, so Shaka, that's what it was all about. But in the late 1990s, mid-1990s, the Zulu people applied to have this become a national holiday after the ANC came into power. The ANC said, nope. Then the Inkatha Freedom Party pushed, and they were a much larger political party then. They were successful and became a national holiday, and it got named Heritage Day to celebrate the heritage of all cultures in South Africa. And then in 2005, there was an effort to turn it into National Bride Day. It didn't succeed, but in 2007, an informal social media effort by a South African did, in fact, succeed in making it informally National Bride Day. And that's why you see those burgers and those shish kebabs and the boerewors to the side of my head right there to celebrate National Bride Day in South Africa, folks. Thank you so much for the super sticker, Catherine. Thank you, Erica, for the super chat that came on before the show even started. I think somebody else gave something earlier. So thank you all so much for that. Jason Ventnor says, I think you should have at least acknowledged my concern, Chris, with Germ. I don't know what your concern is. How can I acknowledge something I don't know, Jason? What are you getting at? I don't know. You didn't tell me what it was. And if you did, I didn't see it. So how can I acknowledge something that I'm unaware of? Now, I think what you're talking about is that Jeremy now was shadow banned and he is prevented from live streaming on YouTube. But that's not news to my audience here. I've talked about that all week. I invited Jerm to come on my program this week. He said yes, and now it's Thursday, and I've not heard back from him. I suspect he's very busy trying to set up his Vimeo account and other things, but the plan was to bring him on. I was going to give him airtime since he's not able to live stream, and for the moment I can still live stream, I was going to get him on here. He did go on I think Roman's show, and that's how I found out about this. So, but Jason, I don't. What am I not acknowledging? I'd apologize, but I don't know what to apologize for. Jim G says Laura looks righteous. Springer, yeah, she'll be on Monday. That's the plan. So that's what we're working on here. And I don't know what Jason's unhappy about. So, yeah, thank you, Tian. That's also a good point to point out there. Jason, when you type something, folks, this isn't directed to Jason. When you type something in the chat and you just assume that the host sees what you type, that's a mistake. It doesn't jump out at you. I'm managing a browser over here. I'm running the show. I'm trying to keep the audience informed. I'm making a mistake by saying Dingani when I was supposed to be talking about Shaka, but anyway. So there's a lot going on here behind the scenes and in front of the screen right here for you. And I'm also bringing things up on the screen. So I don't see all the chat over there. I do miss things. For instance, Christo Hoyer was a fabulous supporter of the channel and a very generous super chatter too, by the way, I should mention. And then Christo just disappeared one day back in early June after he'd been with the channel for a long time. He popped back on the channel. I didn't see him on there. And somebody came back to me after and said, hey, you didn't say hi to Christo. I didn't see Christo. If you want the host attention, it's not a guarantee. There's two ways to get the attention of the host. For sure. Number one is to do super chat. The super chats come up vocally and a big thing comes up on the screen and you can't miss it. And so the host will see that. So if you want a super chat, get the host attention. That's one way. Another way, without spending any money, is to put the @ symbol before their name. Type it in, then hit the return on your carriage when the name shows up, and then it will show up in orange in the chat, and that will jump out. Like, for instance, Catherine's super chat is still there, that super sticker. Whoops, it just went away. It just went away. It was there for a long time. But if you put, as Shaq Dweller says, if you put the @ Chris White, then you'll get it. All right, Shaq Dweller, have a good night. Yanni just retracted the message. Germ is talking some off time, he said. When you type something, it doesn't jump out at you. Forgive the host. Much going on. Thank you, Jim G. I appreciate that. Laura Lynn Tyler's channel. Thank you. So rude. What's so rude? What's so rude? What's so rude? What did I do that was rude? Yeah, so Jason, have I addressed your concerns, acknowledge them? Is that what you're talking about? Let me know, Jason, or did you just leave? Because I don't see any comments coming out from Jason. All right, well, I can't answer if people leave. If people get angry over me not mentioning something that I didn't see, I don't know what to say about that. I can't address that. That's beyond my capacity. It isn't really something we do. Yanni Meyer, Jerem's Klotza interview from yesterday was very good. I didn't see that. I haven't been able to watch Roman or Ronaldo or Germ at all this week, folks, because I've been pretty decisively engaged. And I'm going to catch up on those guys as soon as I can, especially in Ronaldo and Roman's program. But I'll also catch up on Germ. Yeah, but Laura Lynn should be fascinating. She was very quick to accept the invitation. I'm excited about it, and we'll talk to her coming up this week. Okay, folks, thanks so much for tuning in. I really appreciate your patronage on this Heritage Day 2020 in South Africa. Thank you so much for joining us. The informal National Braai Day. I hope you've had a good braai if you're in South Africa, wherever you find yourself around the world. It's always a good time to braai, even in the dead of winter. Thank you so much for being with the program today, folks. Can't please everyone. Please don't forget that. No, you can't, Jim G. And I don't know that I've displeased Jason, and I don't know that Jason's left, but I just don't know because he's not responding. But again, it's anyway. I'm not going to go into that topic right now. That's a topic for another day. Right, just saying. Exactly, folks. Thanks a lot. There will be a Night Owls edition of the program later today. I'll do that later. It'll probably be a little bit later than my normal time. So, well, it will be later than my normal time. So it'll be an hour later because I'll still be teaching until 4 p.m., 10 p.m. in South Africa. So it'll be 10:30 tonight. And we'll do another stream with the Night Owls edition tonight. We'll cover the news a little bit better. So, no, thank you, says Andre. Well, you're welcome. Anyway, folks, thanks a lot for tuning in. Enjoy the rest of your day. And let me see. I'm going to probably mess this up because the closing video is not on top. So I've got to shut down all these things on the screen. Otherwise, it's going to mess it up. So let me, excuse me, let me shut down the things that are on the screen right now before I go. Where are they at? Come on. There we go. Braai Day. That's gone. Heritage flag is gone. Let's get rid of the text, celebrating the day, and I can do my closeout video. All right, now it will work, except that I got to close my video. Where's my video at? Yeah, it's all complicated, folks. I got so many things here. Okay, there you go. All right, folks, thanks a lot. Really appreciate it. Catch you later. Jason, if you're still around, I hope, like I said, that I've addressed your issue adequately. If not, send me a message and let me know. Also, Shaq Dwell, I look forward to your email, but I think I have your answer now. Thanks, folks. Have a good day. We'll see you in a couple of hours here on Chris White Africa on the Night Owls edition of Stray Voltage. God bless. Happy Heritage Day, South Africa. And to folks around the world, if you're not South African, have a braai. Go ahead and do it anyway. All right, folks, take care. We'll catch you later.